Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. This is Zynaps on the Commodore 64 plug and play device. Despite being a really tough game, this was one of my favourite games that I had on my Commodore 64 for quite some time. The C64 and a lot of the 8-bit machines didn't have a shortage of side-scrolling shoot-em-ups. But this was one of the better ones, and interestingly enough it was one of the ones that wasn't based on an arcade game, it was an original title. And these ones seem to fare better on the C64 for some reason. I think that probably there was a couple of games that were very good arcade conversions, one being Salamander and the other one being Nemesis. Those are the two that spring to mind, although there probably were others. They tended to be overshadowed by games like Catechis and Armalite, and Zynaps was one of those ones. It didn't really achieve the same level of recognition as the likes of Armalite, but it was still a very, very good game. Hewson did have did produce some good quality games for the C64, and they were one of the better software houses. Rather like today, there was some software houses with better reputations than others, and Hewson tended to have a pretty good reputation, and many, if not all of their games, in fact I better say many because I don't know, tended to be original titles like Zynaps and Exelon and games like that. They probably did arcade conversions or movie tie-ins and stuff like that, but certainly the games that I came across tended to be original titles, and this, as I say, Zynaps was one of them, and I really enjoyed it. The graphics are really good. I love the graphics in this game, and the power-ups are good too. You can make the ship move faster, which is not always a good thing, because sometimes it just moves too fast. You can power up your main weapon. You can have secondary weapons such as missiles and bombs, which sort of bobble along the bottom of the screen, blowing up everything they come into contact with. The levels, from what I can remember, the level design was pretty good as well, because unfortunately in playing it again I didn't really get that far into it. Like I've said before in these videos, 8-bit games tended to be really, really tough, and this was to add longevity to playing the game, because there wasn't really a lot to them. Depth wise you were always going to struggle. There were the odd exceptions. I mean, games like Elite were just incredible technical achievements. I mean, such a complex game on such primitive systems, certainly compared to today's technology. But for the most part, these type of games, they tended to probably have, I don't know, 5 or 6 levels or something like that. I mean, I don't know how many levels Zynaps had, because I never completed it. Which I know you watching me play this video, you would find incredibly hard to believe that I never completed this game. The way that I'm just effortlessly ripping through these levels, with the greatest of ease. But, no, I never did. They were tough and challenging games. And it was games where you really learnt the art of pattern play, and what I mean by that is you had to learn the patterns of the bad guys. It's not like today where a lot more random things happen. Back then the essence of gameplay was dying an awful lot but remembering the patterns and remembering what went where and what bad guys were coming next, so you could prepare for them. That tended to be the whole nature of gaming, and I suppose by today's standards that might sound incredibly dull and repetitive, but interestingly enough it wasn't. It was quite compelling, and there was always that determination, especially when it came to high scores. There was always the determination to beat your previous high score. And that doesn't seem to be something which happens too much these days. I mean, people did talk about the achievements on Xbox being a replacement for the high score, and I tend to disagree with that to a certain extent. Primarily because of the fact that, well, high scores was for specific games and not for separate ones, and I don't think it's a replacement. I mean, I think it just makes you play the games differently to what they used to be, you know, to what they would be without achievements. In other words, you're more likely to go rooting through a game into all the nooks and crannies looking for the obscure achievements than you would have done, you know, just simply rifling through the game. That's not necessarily, you know, the same essence of a high score, which was always tied into how far you went into the game, how much death you dealt out in the game, and so on and so forth. But yeah, anyway, that's Zynaps on the Commodore 64 DTV plug-and-play device. Another game that I really enjoy, and so that's it. Thanks for watching this video.